Silo loves ending on an ominous shot of something mysterious. But those barrels being pushed up the central staircase at the end of episode 2? That is not just an ominous shot. That is the most terrifying image this show has produced in 3 seasons. And if you watched that closing sequence and thought, wait, what exactly am I looking at right now? You are asking exactly the right question. Because those barrels are not vitamin D. And what is actually inside them changes everything about where this season is headed. Let's break it down. What is vitamin D plus dash and why the cover story is perfect? Here's what makes this so unsettling. The vitamin D label is not random. It is not lazy writing. It is the most deliberately chosen disguise the system could possibly use. Think about it. The silo is entirely underground, no sunlight, no natural source of vitamin D whatsoever. Which means residents of Silo 18 genuinely need vitamin D supplements just to maintain basic health. A large shipment of vitamin D arriving in the silo raises exactly 0 suspicion. Nobody questions it. Nobody investigates it. It slots perfectly into the routine of daily life underground, just another supply delivery keeping people alive. That is the genius of it. And that is what makes it so cold. The cover story doesn't just hide the drug. It weaponizes the most mundane, unquestioned aspect of silo life to deliver it. The algorithm didn't hide the memory suppression compound inside something suspicious. It hid it inside something everyone already accepts without thinking. Something people would actually feel reassured to see arriving. Check this out. Screen Rant confirmed that the vitamin D cover story connects directly to a detail from Season 2 that most people have already forgotten. Lukas Kyle, while decoding past messages and files from Silo 18's hidden records, discovered that water supplies had been contaminated with memory-suppressing drugs before. This is not a new plan, it is an emergency measure. It is a returning protocol that has been used on this exact population at least once already. And there is another detail from Season 2 that lands very differently now. Patrick Kennedy, the same Patrick Kennedy who is currently leading the Outsiders and helping Juliette remember the truth, once begged to be sedated by these same drugs after his wife died. He wanted the memory gone. He wanted the pain erased. He knew the drug existed, and he asked for it voluntarily. That detail reframes Kennedy's entire arc this season. A man who once begged to forget is now the first person to figure out that Juliette is being forced to forget. A man who understands from the inside exactly what this compound does and what it costs. That is not a coincidence. That is the show doing precise, intentional character work, hiding in plain sight. Hot take. The vitamin D cover story is the most elegant piece of world building this show has done since Season 1. Because it doesn't require the system to be clever in an obvious way. It just requires the system to understand human psychology well enough to know that people never question the things that feel routine. And in that understanding, it has been winning for 3.5 centuries. Do you think anyone in Silo 18 figures out what is actually in those barrels before they reach the water supply? Because the window is closing fast. Drop your theory below. The algorithm's graph and what happens when those 2 lines cross. Now let's talk about that conversation between the algorithm and Camille, because the show gives you the dialogue clearly. But what it does not spell out explicitly is the full implication of what those 2 lines actually represent. The blue line, the calming stability value of having Juliette Nichols as mayor. The red line, the risk she poses if the memory protocol fails and she starts remembering. The algorithm's conclusion is delivered with the cold precision of a system that has been doing this for centuries. If those lines cross, Juliette will have outlived her usefulness. But here's what multiple research sources confirmed and the episode only implies. When those lines cross, the destabilization doesn't just mean Juliette becomes a problem. It risks triggering the safeguard protocol itself. The same kill switch that Juliette spent all of Season 2 desperately trying to warn her people about. The mechanism that would destroy everyone inside Silo 18 simultaneously. Let that land for a second. The algorithm is not just managing one woman with returning memories. It is managing the conditions that could trigger the total destruction of 10,000 people. That graph is not about Juliette Nichols. It is about whether Silo 18 survives at all. And here is the part that makes the algorithm genuinely frightening as an antagonist. It doesn't make emotional decisions. It doesn't hate Juliette. It doesn't fear her. It calculates her. She is a variable in a model that has been running for 352 years. When she becomes too destabilizing a variable, the model simply adjusts. In my opinion, that is so much more terrifying than a human villain. You can appeal to a human villain. You can surprise them. You can make them feel something that changes their calculation. You cannot do any of those things to a system that doesn't experience anything at all. Book connection. In Hugh Howey's Shift, the silo architects built mathematical models specifically designed to predict social stability and determine when to intervene in the population. The show's algorithm is that model made real and given a voice. It is the founding philosophy of the entire Silo project that humanity can be managed like a variable, controlled like a system, and reset like a piece of software, operating 3 centuries after the people who built it are gone. Hot take. The algorithm ordering the water supply reset is not a sign that the system is working. It is a sign that the system is panicking. If the memory protocol was truly effective, it wouldn't need to escalate to a population-wide reset 2 episodes into the season. Juliette is already breaking the model. And the model knows it. 352 years of data. The full reset history changes everything you thought you knew about Silo 18. And now, the detail that I cannot stop thinking about. The one that reframes the entire history of this silo from the very beginning. The algorithm tells Camille it has 352 years of data demonstrating the memory protocol is effective. 6 silos have undergone full resets, including Silo 18 itself, 140 years ago. Stop. Sit with that. The people currently living in Silo 18, Knox, Shirley, Martha Walker, every single person we have watched across 3 seasons of this show, they are not the original inhabitants of a functioning underground society. They are the descendants of a population whose memories were completely wiped clean by this exact system a century and a half ago. Every tradition they follow, every piece of history they know, every story they have ever been told about who they are and where they came from, all of it was built on a foundation of manufactured forgetting. Check this out. The rebellion that Juliette inspired in Season 2, the one that shook the entire power structure of the silo and felt like something genuinely unprecedented, it almost certainly was not the first one. Somewhere in the 140 years between Silo 18's last full reset and now, people have remembered things before, have pushed back before, have asked the same questions Juliette is asking, and been chemically silenced. This is the part that genuinely broke something in me as a viewer. Because it means the history of Silo 18 is not what anyone living in it believes it to be. The Pact, the foundational document that Billings is currently rewriting to reflect the demands of the rebellion, is built on a version of history that was itself assembled after a memory wipe. The rules they are trying to reform were written on top of lies that were written on top of other lies. Book connection. Hugh Howey's Shift reveals that the silo administrators operated in shifts, sleeping in cryogenic stasis while others monitored and managed the populations below. Full population resets were not emergency measures. They were part of the original contingency design, built in from the beginning as a management tool for when populations became too aware, too organized, too dangerous to the system's long-term plan. The show is now making that history viscerally real. Not as backstory delivered in exposition, as something actively happening to people we care about in real time. And here is the detail that makes the 6 silo number so significant. 6 full resets across the network. 6 entire populations whose memories were dissolved and replaced, which means somewhere out there, in the other silos we have barely glimpsed, this same cycle has played out again and again. Different names, different faces, same drug, same algorithm, same outcome. The silo system didn't just imprison humanity underground. It has been quietly erasing humanity's memory of its own imprisonment, over and over and over again, for 3.5 centuries. So here is where Episode 2's ending actually leaves us. Those barrels climbing the staircase are not a background detail. They are a countdown, because everything in the silo is delivered manually. which means it will take days, possibly weeks, for the vitamin D plus to reach the water supply department. That is the window. The only window that exists between the current fragile, fractured state of Silo 18 and a population that wakes up one morning remembering nothing. Juliette has stopped taking her pills. Her memories are starting to come back. Kennedy and the outsiders know she is being drugged. The system knows she stopped cooperating. 2 lines on a graph are getting closer to each other with every episode. And when they cross, everything changes. So here is my question for you. Do you think Juliette can stop those barrels from reaching the water supply before her memories fully return? Or does this season give us something we have never seen before? An entire silo that forgets its own rebellion while the rebellion is still happening? Drop your theory in the comments. See you next Friday.